Ready or Not does have a component in it. They don't want every scenario to end in a shooting. It's tough, but once again, like you're seeing here, the bad guys in this game can shoot. But yeah, see, look at the tunnel. This is like some crazy cool stuff. That's what I do really appreciate about this game. So I love it that we have all these different scenarios. You got some really dark scenarios too. Hey everybody, Chris the Cop here. Welcome back. Hey, I'm with Gamology on another episode of Experts React, and we're actually reacting to one of my favorite games. What's that game? Well, it's Ready or Not.
You ready?
Take him down! Back her down! I'm not going in!
All right, this is one of the challenging but favorite scenarios. You have to actually go in this apartment complex, and you got to be smart about it because the bad guys have the high ground and they can shoot you from the balconies. You have to go up these stairwells that are windy. Yeah, you have actually two entry points, and that's what I love about the Ready or Not series is that they truly, the devs have really taken into account some of what law enforcement really does. Now, once again, Ready or Not does have a component in it. They don't want every scenario to end in a shooting, so they do give you the option to be able to use less lethal. It's tough. But I tell you what, it's satisfying is when you do get that S rating, when you do, have, you're able to take everybody into custody without, excessive force or, neutralizing anybody.
Great job.
This is actually, excuse my French, but this is a kick-ass game because they've captured a lot of components of what it's like to be on the tactical team. There's a small little percentage of some military stuff, but the rules of engagement are there when it comes to what United States law enforcement would be, what would be excessive force. Sometimes the excessive force is a little unforgiving because there are times when you do use less lethal and you get an excessive force rating, and you're like, hey, wait a minute, I used force the way I was supposed to use force. One of the other components I like about this game is, like you just saw right now, is the flashbangs are a lot more forgiving. In SWAT 4, if you look at a flashbang, you got the white screen of death and you can't see anything. Flashbangs are bad, but not to the degree that, like I said, they were in SWAT 4. So Ready or Not does a really good job of capturing what it would be like if you looked at a flashbang and that little slight disorientation. They're never going to be able to capture it 100%. And once again, it's always a little bit different as well for every person. It matters where the flashbang was actually thrown, how far you were from it, exactly what angle were you looking at it. So there's definitely a degree, or definitely different things that could basically, what degree you're going to be affected of it, but they do a good job. Now, some of the things that are kind of not realistic in Ready or Not, at least from my opinion, is the use of C2. Most teams don't use that type of explosive. They will use depth cord. There are some teams that do have explosives. Those are going to be your large metropolitan teams like LAPD, LA County Sheriff's Department. But even they try to minimize the use of how that is. You're going to be using a lot more pick and ram to get in through doors. Ready or Not, man, they talk about ready or not. You should be taking in coverage. What we always say in law enforcement, that you're not going to make an arrest by yourself. So like these two people here, one person could hold them. Not the best scenario. One person could hold them, but you got to be careful on Ready or Not because they'll pop up with a knife and stab you. In this, it's always great to have one person being the arrest team and the other one person holding lethal in case they pop up, and then you got to do what you got to do. Ready or Not does make you think about that you just don't want to walk up to people on your own. The one thing I want to point out is I always make the comment about the Optawan, looking underneath the doors. Optawan does kind of exist, but it doesn't exist the way people think it exists. If you look at the front door of your house, is there any space underneath the door that an Optawan would be able to get into? And if you say yes, you got a problem, okay? You need to get that fixed because you shouldn't be having any type of, spaces underneath your door. Now, in your house, yeah, we have gaps underneath our door because rooms are not sealed. But think about that. So Optawan, it's not anything I've ever seen used, even by the big teams, even by LAPD, LA County Sheriffs, these bigger teams, San Diego PD. I have not seen any type of iteration of Optawan. We use mirrors, we use corners, that type of stuff. What Ready or Not does give us is a crap load of scenarios. So I love it that we have all these different scenarios. You got some really dark scenarios too. I mean, there's the mass killing scenario. Like I think this one is, I can't remember exactly this one, but you have the one where you go into the catacombs of the cartel. I think something like that would be probably handled by more of a federal team, just because they might have the resources. But once again, like I'm saying, is that this particular game has captured what it's like to be on a local law enforcement tactical team, but there are some scenarios that put you into that federalness of what it would be like to be on a federal team. And then you have that slight military element to it, but not too heavy, which I definitely do appreciate. One of the things I don't like about Ready or Not is the kill bot that the suspects have. I mean, they could just one-shot you and you're done. There's psychology that talks about when people are put into different scenarios that the element of surprise really puts them at a disadvantage. That part is kind of missing. I've actually spoken to the devs about that. I was on a question and answer session with them, and we talked about the aim bot, and they said that they were going to be tweaking that down. So we'll see if that actually does happen. They're constantly adding to this game, which is a neat part. It's not a one and done. They're constantly adding cool stuff to it. What I also like about Ready or Not is this. Actually, I was just going to comment on that. You can pick so many different weapons. That is the neat part. There's so many different weapons you can pick. You can pick traditional law enforcement weapons, and then you can pick the military ones. Now, I play with a group of guys who are former law enforcement officers, and we give ourselves different challenges, and that's what the neat part about this game. So we have we call ourselves the 1990s challenge, and what's kind of cool about our 1990s challenge is I was the only one who was on a tactical team in the 1990s. The two guys I play with were actually in high school. So they're like, hey, they always call me, hey, Dad, was it really like that? And I'm like, yes, it was really like that. The vest was the old Velcro vest. We did not have, we had MP5s. We had Benelli shotguns, but so we'll actually outfit ourselves with 1990s gear to try to solve some of these missions. And it's quite challenging because you're not going in with the firepower of like what a current modern team would have. So we do that. And I've actually seen some other YouTube channels copy our 1990s challenge, which I'm okay with, but kind of give us some credit. You stole it from us. We were the first ones to do it. And you didn't give us any credit. Blah. Shame on you. But anyways, I digress. But that's what I like about this is that you get kind of a variety of different things. So I would tell people like we're gonna there's a school shooting one which is controversial. Oh my gosh, they were contemplating not putting it in the game because there was so much controversy about a school shooting scenario. But it's like, hey, school shootings are a fact of life. I mean, unfortunately, it's a fact of life. The aspect that I tell people is challenge yourself. Do the school shooting like if you were a patrol officer, because in reality, a school shooting should be handled by patrol. SWAT, unless it's like around the corner, it would be too late. So put a bunch of guys together in a police uniform with a shotgun at best, and go in with that and see if you could solve this situation like that. That it would be a great challenge for you. But yeah, see, look at the tunnel. Look at this, the tunnel part of this. This is like some crazy cool stuff. That's what I do really appreciate about this game. Yeah, see, like right here, they're going to be utilizing the C4. You know, I love reading the comments, not only on my channel but Gamology's channel, especially when I'm on an episode. So hey guys, if you know some teams that are actually using explosives, hey, throw it out there. I'd be interested to see which teams are, because I would love to talk to them about it and find out these scenarios that they're using these type of explosives. Like I said, I've trained with LAPD, I've trained with LA County Sheriffs. We've had explosive breaches where we've used that to use the explosive breach so we can actually get inside, but I haven't seen the type of equipment that you see in this particular game as far as like with the explosive part of it. So just throwing it out there. What I'd actually like to see in this game too would be, and this is just for the devs, is a way to be able to heal your, basically have attack med. I would love to see like scenarios where you can actually drag out a fellow SWAT operator that has been shot. Have a scenario like that. There are some cool scenarios that they can still build into this game, like an officer down scenario where you're able to grab your operator, drag them back to cover, render medical attention, and then get back into the firefight. I would love to see. I don't think any game has put anything like that forward. So I would love to see something like that in the future. But once again, like you're seeing here in this, is that, man, the bad guys in this game can shoot. Now, I did hear from other players that the bad guys are some of these scenarios. The bad guys are supposed to be ex-military, and hence the reason why they're so good at shooting. Okay, so I get that, but that's not every scenario. So on those scenarios, I'm good with that, but that's not every scenario, especially the scenario in the apartment complex. Those are just kids, doing, stupid stuff. So, yeah, you get the crouching, you get all that type of stuff. You get the other uniforms. There's, like I said, this game is really, really evolving to be a really good game. And what I like about this too is that for all of us that started off with the SWAT series and SWAT 4, they kept the mechanics pretty much the same. So we're just using the WASD. The mouse clicks are all about the same. So that's what I do appreciate. And of course, for those players that like to customize their stuff, they definitely can, with their type of gameplay, however they play it. This is the school one. This is what I'm talking about. So I was on Gamology before, and I was talking about the active shooter in schools and saying that United States law enforcement knows how to respond to the active school shooter, because we all received training after Columbine, and then Uvalde happens, and it really, it was like, wow, I could not believe that Uvalde happened the way it did. And when it happened, I remember thinking to myself, without knowing all the facts, that incident happened because of bad supervision and management. And then after I read the report, I was exactly right that it was bad supervision and management. And that just put a black eye, not only on that, on them, but it put a black eye on all of law enforcement, because it was just like, wait a minute, guys, we learned how to respond to these. So what the hell happened? You don't sit there and wait for other tactical people. You don't sit there and wait for, first of all, you don't sit there and wait for a tactical team at all. You grab a couple of patrol officers and you go in and you follow the gunfire and you neutralize the gunfire. And the people we serve expect us to put ourselves in harm's way. And I don't understand how that was even came into question. So that's the part that still pisses me off about the Uvalde, because of the black eye it put on us. Now, in this scenario, you can mimic that. You can mimic patrol officers getting the call and going in there with very minimum equipment, because that would be the true scenario. That's how this scenario should be played out. Shouldn't be SWAT going in on there. It should be a bunch of patrol officers getting their weapons and going in there. And there has been some really recent body cam captures of the way it's supposed to be handled. But I will never again say, because I was embarrassed, but I will never again say that law enforcement knows exactly what to do, because Uvalde proved me wrong. But once again, this is the actual scenario that did not almost make it, because there was a lot of controversy regarding it. And I think they changed it. I don't know if it was initially supposed to be a high school, but they made it I think this is a college. I could be wrong. I really haven't got deep into it, but yeah, it's college. It's a college. So I think they're trying to make it a little bit better that it's a college and not high school kids in this particular scenario. All right, my final thoughts on this. Well, hey, I'm a big fan of Ready or Not. I play Ready or Not. What I love about it is, being a former SWAT operator, I can tell you this gives us a lot of realistic elements to what it's like being on a SWAT team. So if you're looking for that realism, jump into Ready or Not. You will not be disappointed. Hey, well, that's it for me, ladies and gentlemen. Hey, don't forget to follow me on my channel, Chris the Cop, and stay tuned for other exciting episodes of Experts React here at Gamology. Until next time.